Text number 8. तन नाम रूप चरितादि सुकीर्तनानु स्मृत्यो कर्मेण वसेन मनासि नियोज्य तिष्ठन् व्रज तद् अनुरागी जनानुगामि कालं नयद अखिलम् इति उपदेश सारम. Translation: The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine names, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Golok Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees, who are deeply attached to his devotional service, purported by divine grace. Since the mind may be one's enemy or one's friend, one has to train the mind to become his friend. The Krishna consciousness movement is specially meant for training the mind to be always engaged in Krishna's business. The minds contain hundreds and thousands of impressions, not only of this life but also of many, many lives of the past. These impressions sometimes come in contact with one another and produce contradictory pictures. In this way, the mind's function can become dangerous for a conditioned soul. Students of psychology are aware of the mind's various psychological changes. The Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tajayati anta kelvaram tamam tam aviyeti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Whatever the state of being once remember, when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. At the time of death, the mind and intelligence of a living entity create the subtle form of a certain type of body for the next life. If the mind suddenly thinks of something not very congenial, one has to take a corresponding birth in the next life. On the other hand, if one can think of Krishna at the time of death, he can transfer to the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. This process of transmigration is very subtle, and therefore Srila Rupa Goswami advises devotees to train their mind in order to that they will be unable to remember anything other than Krishna. Similarly, the tongue should be trained to speak only of Krishna and to taste only Krishna Prasad. Srila Rupa Goswami further advises Chesthan Vraja. One should live in a Vrindavan or any part of Vrajbhumi. Vrajbhumi, or the land of Vrindavan, is supposed to be a 84 crores, 84 crores in area. 1 crore is equal to 2 square mile. When one makes Vrindavan his residence, he should take shelter of an advanced devotee there. In this way, one should always think of Krishna and his pastimes. This is the further elucidated by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasmata Sindhu. Krishnam smaranam jananam chasya prishtham nija samhitam tata tata katha yataschasu kuryad vasam vraja sada. Devotee should always reside in the transcendental realm of Vraja and always engage in Krishnam smaranam jananam chasya. Ganam chasya. Preshtham, the remembrance of Krishna and his beloved associates. By following in the footsteps of such associates and by entering under their eternal guidance, one can acquire an intense desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As Srila Rupa Goswami states in the Bhakti Smrita Sindhu, Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chetrahi tadbhava lipusuna karaya vraja lokanau saradha. In the transcendental realm of Vrajadham, one should serve the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna with a feeling similar to that of his associates. And one should place himself under the direct guidance of a particular associate of Krishna and should follow in his footsteps. This method is applicable both in the sadhana stage, spiritual practice executed while in the stage of bondage, and the stage of sadhya, God realization, when one is in Siddha Purusha or a spiritual perfect soul. The Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented as follows upon this verse: one who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his names, form, quality, pastimes, and so forth. In this way, after developing a taste for such thing, one should try to live in Vrindavan and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna name, fame, pastime, and qualities under the direction and the protection of an expert devotee. This is the sum and substance of all instructions regarding the cultivation of a devotion service. In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Sharvanam Das, the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, and pastime, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varnadash. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to the hearing of Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he is attained the stage of Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering, recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are the five items of progressive Krishna Smaranam. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at interval, but later remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called Anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing Anusmriti, one enters the stage of Samadhi or spiritual trance. After Smaranadas or Samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitution position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. This is called Sampati Das, the perfection of life. Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desire and simply engage in the regulative devotion service of the Lord according to the direction of Scripture. In this way, a neophyte can gradually develop attachment for Krishna name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna even without following the regulative principles. This stage is called Rag Bhakti or devotion service in spontaneous love. At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footstep of one of the eternal associates of Krishna and Vrindavan. This is called Raghunaga Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti or spontaneous devotion service. Can be executed in the Santaras when one aspires to be like Krishna's cow or stick or flute in the hand of Krishna or flowers around Krishna's neck. In the Dasidas, one follow in the footsteps of the servants Chitraka, Patraka, or Raktaka. In the friendly Asakya Rasa, one can become a friend like Baldev, Sridham, or Sudama. In the Vatsalya Rasa, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. In the Madhurya Ras, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radharani or her lady friends such as Lalita and serving maids, Manjaris, like Rupa and Rati. This is the essence of all instruction in the matter of devotional service. Text number 9. Venkutta Janito Vara Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsvad Vrindayanam Udarapani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhana Radha Kundam Ihapi Gokulapathe Prema Amrita Palavanat Kuryad Asya Virajato Giri Tate Sevam Viveki Na Kaha. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Ras Lila pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and by the sight of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of Lord of Gokul, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve his divine Radha Kund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill, purport by his divine grace? The spiritual world is three-fourths of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and is the most exalted region. The spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathura and adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself appeared at Mathura. The inferior, the interior forests of Vrindavan are considered superior to the Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests, such as Talavan, Madhuvan, and Bahulavan, which are famous for the various pastimes of the Lord. Thus, the interior Vrindavan forest is considered superior to Mathura. But superior to this forest is the divine Govardhan Hill because Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus like beautiful hand to protect his associates, the denizens of Vraja, from the torrential rain sent by the angry Indra. King of demigods, it is also at okay. It is also at Govardhan Hill that Krishna tends the cows with his cowherd friends, and there also he had his rendezvous with his most beloved Srimati Radharani and engaged in the loving pastime with her. Radhakund at the foot of Govardhan is superior to all because it is there that the Sri Radhakund at the foot of Govardhan is superior to all because it is there the love of Krishna overflows. Advanced devotees prefer to reside at Radhakund because this place is the site of many memories of the eternal loving affairs between Krishna and Radharani. Rati Vilas. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, it is stated that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first visited the Vrajabhumi, we could not at first find the location of Radhakund. This means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually searching for the exact location of Radhakund. Finally, he found the holy spot and there was a small pond there. He took his bath in that small pond and told his devotee that the actual Radhakund was situated there. Later, the pond was excavated by Lord Chaitanya's devotees, headed by the six Goswamis such as Rupa and Raghunath. Thus, presently there is a large lake known as Radhakund there. Srila Rupa Goswami has given much stress to Radhakund because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it. Who then would give up Radhakund and try to reside elsewhere? No person with transcendental intelligence would do so. The importance of Radhakund, however, cannot be realized by other Vaishnava Sampradayas, nor can person uninterested in the devotional service of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understands the spiritual importance and divine nature of Radhakund. Thus, the Radhakund is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The text number 10. Karmavya parito hare priyataya vyaktim yayur jananinas तभयो जनाना विमुक्ता भक्ति परमहा प्रेमिका निष्ठास तथा तभयास्तः पशु फला पंकजरसास तभ्यो पी सा राधिका प्रेष्ठा तद्वादीयम हृदय सरासी तमम नश्रियात कहा कृति. In the translation, in the Shastra, it is said that all types of fruity workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher status of life, is favored by the Supreme Personality of the Godhead Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, Janani is one who is practically liberated by the virtue of his knowledge. may take to devotional service. He is superior to others. However, one who has actually attained prema, the pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopi are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental coward boy. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kund lake is profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. One who then will not reside at Radhakund and the spiritual body is charged with the ecstatic devotional feeling of Prakrta Bhava, rendering loving service to the divine couple Sri Radha Govind, who perform their Ashtakali Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the bank of Radhakund are the most fortunate people in the universe. Purport by His divine grace. At the present moment, almost everyone is engaged in some kind of fruitive activity. Those who are desirous of gaining material profit by working are called karmis, or fruitive workers. All living entities within this material world have come under the spell of Maya. This is described in the Vishnu Purana. Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta Kshetra Janakaya Tatha Para Vidya Karma Samajananya Trityaya Shaktir Ishyate. Sages have divided the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into three categories, namely spiritual energy, and material marginal energy. The material energy is considered to be third class energy, Titriya Shakti. Those living in beings within the jurisdiction of the material energy sometimes engage themselves like dogs and hogs in working very hard simply for sense gratification. However, in this life or after executing pious activities, in the next life, some karmis become strongly attached to performing various kinds of sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Thus, on the strength of their pious merit, they are elevated to heavenly planets. Actually, those who perform sacrifices strictly according to Vedic injunctions are elevated to the moon and planets above the moon. As mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Punya Martya Lokam Visanti. After exhausting the result of their so-called pious activities, they again return to the earth, which is called Mrityalok, a place of death. Although such person may be elevated to the heavenly planets by their pious activities, and although they may enjoy life there for many thousands of years, they nonetheless must return to this planet when the result of their pious activities are exhausted. This is the position of all karmis, including those who act piously and those who act impiously. On this planet, we find many businessmen, politicians, and others who are simply interested in material happiness. They attempt to earn the money by all means, not considering whether such means are pious or impious. Such people are called karmis or gross materialists. Among the karmis are some vikarmis, people who act without guidance of Vedic knowledge. Those who act on the basis of Vedic knowledge perform sacrifices for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu and to receive benedictions from him. In this way, they are elevated to higher planetary system. Such karmis are superior to the vikarmis, for they are faithful to the direction of Vedas, are certainly dear to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ye yata mam prapadente tamastetheva bhajami aham. In whatever way one surrendered unto me, I rewarded him accordingly. Krishna is so kind that he fulfills the desire of the karmis and jnanis, not to speak of bhaktas. Although karmis are sometimes elevated to the higher planetary system, as long as they remain attached to fruitive activities, they must accept new material bodies after death. If one acts piously, he can attain a new body among the demigods in the higher planetary system, or he may attain some other position in which he can enjoy a higher standard of material happiness. On the other hand, those who are engaged in impious activities are degraded and take birth as animals, trees, and plants. Thus, those furtive actors who do not care for the Vedic direction, Vikarmis, are not appreciated by learned saintly persons. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Naunam नौनं प्रमदः कुरुते विकर्म यद इन्द्रिया प्रीत्या अपनोति न साधु मन्येयता आत्मनो यम असान अपि क्लेशदा असादेह. Mentalists who work hard like dogs and hogs simply for sense gratification are actually mad. They simply perform all kinds of abominable activities simply for sense gratification. Materialistic activity are not all worthy of an intelligent man. For as a result of such activity, one gets a material body which is full of misery. The purpose of human life is to get out of the threefold miserable condition which are concomitant with material existence. Unfortunately, fruity workers are mad to earn money and acquire temporary material comforts by all means. Therefore, they risk being degraded to lower species of life. Metallist foolishly Materialists foolishly make many plans to make people or to make them happy in this material world. They do not stop to consider that they will live only for a certain number of years, out of which they must spend their major portion acquiring money for sense gratification. Ultimately, such activities end in death. Mentalists do not consider that after giving up the body, they may become embodied as the lower animal, plants, or trees. Thus, all their activities simply defeat the purpose of life. Not only are they born ignorant, but they act on the platform of ignorance, thinking that they are getting material benefits in the shape of skyscraper buildings, big cars, honorable position, and so on. The materialists do not know that in the next life they will be degraded and that all their activities simply serve as prabhav, their defeat. This is the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhavastavad abhodajatha. One should therefore be eager to understand the science of the soul, Atma Tattva. Unless one comes to the platform of Atma Tattva by which one understands the soul and not the body is oneself, one remains on the platform of ignorance. Out of thousands and even millions of ignorant people who are wasting their time simply gratifying their senses, one may come to the platform of spiritual knowledge and understand higher values of life. Such a person is called Janani. The Janani knows that future activity will bind him to material existence and cause him to transmigrate from one kind of body to another. As indicated in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the term Srirabandha, bound to bodily existence. As long as one maintains any conception of sense enjoyment, his mind will be absorbed in karma, fruitive activities. This will oblige him to transmigrate from one body to another. Thus, the Janani is considered superior to Karmi because he at least refrains from the blind activities of sense enjoyment. This is the verdict of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, although Janani may be liberated from the ignorance of the Karmis, unless he comes to the platform of devotion service, he is still considered to be an ignorant avidya. Although one may be accepted as Janani or one advanced in knowledge, this knowledge is considered impure because he has no information of devotion service, thus neglect the direct worship of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Janani takes to devotional service, he rapidly becomes superior to ordinary Janani. Such an advanced person is described as Janana Vimukta Bhakti Param. How a Janani takes to devotional service is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, wherein Krishna says, Hunam Janmanante Kyanvan Mam Prapadante Vasudeva Sarmeti Samatma Durlabha. After many births and death, he who actually in knowledge surrender unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Actually, a person is wise when he surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna. But such a Mahatma, a great soul, is very rare. After taking to devotion service under the regulatory principle, a person may come to the platform of spontaneous love of Godhead, following in the footsteps of great devotees like Narada and Sanatana and Sanatan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then recognize him to be superior. The devotees who have developed love of Godhead are certainly in exalted position. Of all these devotees, the gopis are recognized as superior because they do not know anything other than satisfying Krishna. Nor do the gopis expect any return from Krishna. Indeed, sometimes Krishna puts them into extreme suffering by separating himself from them. Nonetheless, they cannot forget Krishna. When Krishna left Vrindavan or Mathura, the gopis become most dejected and spend the rest of their lives simply crying in separation from Krishna. This means that in one sense they were never actually separated from Krishna. There is no difference between thinking of Krishna and associating with him. Rather, Vipralamba Bhasa Seva, thinking of Krishna in separation, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, is far better than serving Krishna directly. Thus, of all the devotees who have developed an unalloyed devotional love for Krishna, the gopis are most exalted, and out of all these exalted gopis, Srimati Radharani is the highest. No one can excel the devotional service of Srimati Radharani. Indeed, even Krishna cannot understand the attitude of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, he took her position and appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just to understand her transcendental feelings. In this way, Sri Rupa Goswami gradually concluded that Srimati Radharani is the most exalted devotee of Krishna and her Kunda lake, Sri Radhakund, is the most exalted place. This is verified in a quotation from Bhagna Bhagavad Mrata, Lagu Bhagavad Mrata, Uttarakhand 45, as quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. यथा राधा प्रिया विष्णु तस्या कुंडम प्रियम तथा सर्वगोपीशा सेविका विष्णु अत्यंत वल्लभ. Just as Srimati Radharani is dear to Supreme Lord Krishna, Vishnu, or her bathing place Radha Kund is equally dear to Krishna. Among all the gopis, she alone stands supreme as the Lord's most beloved. Therefore, everyone interested in Krishna consciousness should ultimately take shelter of Radha Kund and execute devotional service there throughout one's life. This is the conclusion of Sri Rupa Goswami in the 10th verse of the Updeshamrita.